Hello. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel titled Just the Talk. Today's video is a little bit complicated and may give rise to some questions or some confusion because I'm going to talk about the different conchs that are blown by the 5 different Pandavas and their relationship with the Patanjali Sutra Yoga stages of Samadhi. The stages of Samadhi itself are somewhat difficult to understand, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit simpler. Please note that I only know the meaning. I haven't achieved anything at any particular level. As one can imagine that anything that we can see, feel, hear, touch, taste is not the ultimate consciousness. As you know that the physical body is gross and the mind, intellect, chitta and ego are subtler. So as you go from gross to subtle, there is a change. So whenever you are doing meditation and or samadhi, and you achieve certain levels, they will be manifested in a physical way. You can smell, feel, touch, or hear certain things. So last one is the hear, and that's where I'm talking about different conchs that are blown by different Pandavas, each one having some name itself. In one of the previous videos, I had mentioned that 5 Pandavas, starting with Sahadev, Nakul, Arjun, Bhim, and Yudhishthir, represent 5 different chakras, starting from coccygeal, which is Muladhara chakra, and going up to the highest chakra, or at least in this series of 5 chakras, the highest chakra of Yudhishthira, which is the cervical spine chakra, which is called Vidus, which is the one which is in the cervical area or the spine. So the lowest chakra is the Muladhara chakra. But what I'm talking about, the Samadhi, a lot of times the Patanjali differentiate between asamprajnat and samprajnat. The samprajnat Samadhi is at the level of your different levels of the mind, intellect, chit, and each one is a higher level than the previous one. And when we don't feel anything, that's called asamprajnat, or lack of any knowledge. So final level is samprajnat samadhi, getting into asamprajnat samadhi. So the samprajnat samadhi is divided into, at the level, 4 different levels, and these represent 4 different Pandavas. So when one concentrates on coccygeal center called Muladhara center, which is represented by Sahadev, and you conquer, you feel that you're hearing the sound, which is what is represented by the conch that is blown by Sahadev, which is called Mani Pushpa. At this time, you hear the sound like honeybees drone making a sound, gong, like that. And this is a level which is at the level of your thought. That's why it's called Savitarka, which is at the level of your mind. There is a differentiation, confusion, argumentiveness at that particular level of the samadhi. So when you are at that level which is related to the Mani Pushpa or the level of the Ghosh, you hear honey drones. When one concentrates on a higher center or a sense, which is called Swadhisthana Chakra, or which is also called sacral area chakra, that is represented by Nakul, and at that time when you concentrate on it, it's related to the mind, correction, it's related to the intellect, and that's when you hear the sound of flute. And so that's represented by the second conch blown by Nakul, which is called Sughosha, a sweet sound, or which sounds clearly or sweetly. And that's where you hear the sound of flute. When you go higher up, which is represented as a lumbar spine, at that time it's called Manipur Chakra, represented by Arjun, and his sound or the name of his conch is called Devadatta, God-given also. And at that time you hear sound like harp or veena. That's the chakra, which this is why we are now at the level of next level, which is at the level of a Ananda or Sananda, which is at the level of Chit. So the lowest level is mind, which is Savitarka, sound of drone, Savichar, with the thought or intellect, which is the next level, which is at the level of sacrum. At the lumbar level, which is represented by Arjuna or Devadatta, at that time you hear the veena, and that's the at the level of Chit. Then you go to the higher level, which is thoracic or dorsal spine, which is represented by Bhima, and his conch is called Poundra, which means it disintegrates or totally grinds it down. At that time, this is now at the level of ego. And at that time, you hear the sound of bells, like loud bells. And we're now talking about the ego. And at that time, we're talking about Sasmit. When you go to the highest level of some Sampradnyat Samadhi, where you still have a self-awareness, it is not dissolved in the universal consciousness, that is the Yudhishthira, or at the level of cervical spine, which is called Vishuddha Chakra, and that is represented by Yudhishthira, whose conch is Ananta Vijay, that means control on infinity. And this is where the mind, intellect, ego, Chit are all dissolved, and that is the highest level of Samadhi, called Asampradnyat Samadhi. At that time you hear like a thundering ocean, and you don't have any thought, you don't have any of the lower levels, which is the Sampradnyat Samadhi. Again, it is difficult, but I'm going to repeat it. Hope it doesn't become boring, but Samadhi by Patanjali is divided into Sampradnyat and Asampradnyat. Asampradnyat is the highest level, which is achieved where you hear thunder of an ocean or a deep Om. That is represented by Yudhishthira, and that's why that particular conch is called Ananta Vijay. Ananta is endless or infinity, which is consciousness, and Vijay is the success. That's why it is the highest level. The lowest level is Sahadeva, and that's the level at which we have Savitarka, Savichar, Sananda, which are the bliss, And these are the five levels. Four levels of asampradnat samadhi, highest level of asampradnat samadhi. This is how it is represented. I'm going to try to redo this because I know there's a lot of confusion as we don't know these words. But think about going subtle and subtle and subtle, and the subtlest is the highest level. Thank you for watching. Hope you like it. If you like, please subscribe. Have a nice day.